You know, the old saying goes, the first million is hard and it gets easier after that. My name is Rich Lennon. We're here to talk about growing the money. If you are a real estate investor or you are someone looking for alternative ways to grow your money, you are in the right spot. We talk about growing that money every weekday morning from 9 to 9:10 during the summer, 8 to 8:10 during school year when I put my kids on the bus. But I disagree a little bit with that nomer of the first million is the hardest. I think Charlie Munger had that correct when he said that the hardest amount of money was to make $100,000. Of $100,000 of investable income is the hardest thing for a person to accumulate. And then once you've accumulated that $100,000 of investable income, it becomes much easier to grow that income. The average American at age 40 has a little bit over $100,000 inside their self-directed, not the self-directed, but inside their IRAs. And one thing that I see very consistent as I travel, I do a lot of traveling. I enjoy traveling. I have friends that have gone into those circles, and I've gotten to know all the people who live that lifestyle of like a backpack life, who can really have their financial freedom and really have the choices in front of them. I've noticed that almost all of them are living out of their IRAs after the age of 59 and a half. And so their strategy is to build up their IRAs on their self-directed IRAs, using them as self-directed, and to build up those IRAs to a level that allows them to live tax-free. Let's say that you do learn something like being a money lender, which is something we talk about a lot on these podcasts. Once you learn how to be a money lender, let's say that you're just a standard money lender and your goal is to make 20% return on your money. So if you are 59 and a half years old and have $500,000 in your Roth IRA, you can accumulate $100,000 a year tax free. And I see a lot of investors, a lot of people who came from the real estate investing industry that ultimately find their retirement. It's not in a bunch of rentals that give them quote unquote passive income. It is notes that give them the passive income that they want that grows inside those Roths, and then they make the distribution. So your goal should be, I would think, to put $500,000 into a Roth. I keep wanting to say self-directed, but it doesn't have to be self-directed. But to do it as a money lender, it has to be self-directed. But to get up to $500,000 into your Roth, there are a lot of ways to do this. One is to make the contributions along the way, as you should continue to always do. And it puts you in a position that after 59 and a half, you literally don't have to pay income taxes anymore. There are, of course, other taxes that you're going to have to pay along the way, but learning how to use the self-directed IRAs to grow rapidly and then taking those distributions is a way for you to enjoy your retirement in a way that a lot of other people can't do. It would certainly be nice if you had $500,000 and were able to make a 20% return on that money. $100,000 post-tax money would probably make a dramatic difference in your lifestyle after said age. And I think it's something that everybody needs to work towards. And I do think that being a money lender is a great vehicle to build those up IRAs. Yes, you have to self-direct them. So let's talk about that a moment in case you've never heard of it. But the IRAs and your Roth IRAs and your HSAs and your ESAs, all those tax deferred or tax-free entities can be self-directed. There's nothing in the law that says that they have to be used in the traditional way that most people use them. They have it either in their 401k at work, or they have it they have a Fidelity that they've been contributing money to their Roth IRAs or whatever it is, and whatever strategy they've used. A lot of people don't recognize that you can self-direct those and you can make investments with them. Now, there are some rules to those investments. There are people called prohibited individuals. So you have prohibited transactions, which often include disqualified individuals. So there are some rules that you have to learn. I'm not going to try to go over those rules today, but I want you to get in your mind the idea that you can self-direct that and you can earn a high rate of return on interest secured by real estate. And I think that affords a lot of people an opportunity to grow their retirement fund rather quickly. So if we use the rule of 72, which says that your money doubles, if you take your interest rate and divide it by 72, that tells you how long it takes for you to double your money. So if you were able to learn to lend your money in a self-directed IRA, you could grow your money. Let's see, 72 divided by 20, that would be about every 3.5 years, you could double your money. So most Americans at the age of 40 have a little over 100,000 available to them in their IRAs. And if you could learn to double that money every 3.5 years, you would quickly find that you could accumulate a fair amount of wealth, right? So if you went from $100,000 at age 40, and then you had $200,000 at the age of 43 and a half, and then you had $400,000 at the age of 47 and a half, no, just 47, and then you had $800,000 at the age of 50 and a half, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You could accumulate that $100,000 up to and over $1 million by the time that you retire at the age of 59 and a half, because at 59 and a half, you're able to then begin to take those distributions from those self-directed IRAs. I see a lot of the people that I travel with, a lot of the people that I've gotten to know over the years who use this exact strategy to live the life of retirement that they wanted to. That doesn't mean they don't also have rentals maybe that they've built in their portfolio because they're a real estate investor. That doesn't mean that they don't have maybe a business that is still producing them income. It doesn't mean that they're not going to take their Social Security when they get to 65 or 67, whatever strategy they choose, but they use those self-directed IRAs to invest in notes. And sometimes those are short-term notes, and sometimes those are long-term notes, or whatever it is, but they use it effectively as a strategy to be a big part of their retirement income. And if you are 40 years old right now and you are listening to this, this is a very reasonable strategy for you to go after. And I know at 40 years old that it might seem like 59 and a half is a lifetime away. And people concern themselves a lot of time with, hey, I don't want to over contribute to my Roth because I don't want to take the eat money out of my family. And that's why I suggest working double shift, triple shift, get a second job, whatever you have to do, take the advice of Charlie Munger and get yourself to $100,000 of investable income inside those IRAs, and then learn how to self-direct them so that you can grow them at a faster pace than maybe the S&P 500, or certainly putting it into a mutual fund, or putting it into T-bills, or putting it into a money market, et cetera, et cetera. So get yourself educated, figure out what I'm talking about here, and you really need to work hard and fast to get to $100,000, and then try to find a way with secured assets to be able to grow your money at, let's just call it 20% of your lifetime. That will make a dramatic difference about when you can retire and what said retirement looks like. My name is Rich Lennon. If you're ever interested in learning how I do my private money lending business, you're welcome to look me up at richlennon.com. Download the Smarter Wealth Blueprint. And if you're interested after that, hit the button and schedule a growth call, and let's talk about it. All right, everybody have a great day.